Yes, hello everybody, and welcome to week 3 of the NFL. It's we're going to be talking all about the games that are coming up this weekend. We've got the Rams. It's going to be really exciting.
Whoa. Jamie. We all know what happened this weekend.
No. We're not going to talk about this weekend, right?
We are. We are going to talk about this weekend because the Raiders are 3-0.
Yes, and I believe the Giants
of a similar score.
0-3.
And
we won't talk about the Bucs this week. We won't talk about the Bucs week. But you know, I mean, it's kind of the one thing as well. I mean, the Giants are 3-0, the opposite way, and I think Tom's kind of Bart's is gone. He don't want to come on this weekend. We've just got a replacement in. I mean, it looks like Tom anyway. We're all right. So there he is. He's just going to chill with us for the.
We'll get a better conversation out of that Tom than we will out of the real one.
That is true. But no, he didn't want to come on, so we thought we'd get another heartbreaking story. And it's not the Lions and the Baltimore Ravens last-minute field goal. It is the 4 a.m. heartbreak. We have overtime's JP on with us.
Yeah, not the first time I've suffered 4 a.m. heartbreak either, let me tell you. I'm here tonight as the pound-for-pound replacement for Tom Higgins, in every sense of the word. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Thank you for coming on and stepping in. It's almost the last minute. I think it was this morning I asked you after your few hours kip, and as we've mentioned, the heartbreak there. But we'll go on to that in a few moments' time, I imagine. Yes, it was another fun week, I think. Certainly, you mentioned the Lions there, Jamie. A great ending to that game. Not if you're a Lions fan, obviously. Apologies, Bones and Chris.
The best part is as well, like, after every game happened, I knew we were going to lose at one point, and then the Raiders looked like they were going to lose. I was like, if the Raiders lose this game, every single host of Third and Short would have lost.
But
you're the only winner, but obviously Mark as well.
But yeah. We didn't, because good teams win when they don't look like they're going to, and the Raiders won when it didn't look like they were going to. They even gave the Dolphins a 14-0 head start. We even let them come back to overtime. We even didn't score a touchdown on the first drive, and we still beat them. So
and got a safety just for Bance.
Yeah. Well, we missed an extra point. So how important that extra point would have been if we had lost the game? Because the Dolphins got the 2 point, didn't they, to tie it with like 2 seconds to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we'll come to me last because I've got obviously nice things to say about my team. Well, some not so nice things as well. But I don't know if you're going to take the role as the disgruntled Giants fan, JP, or are you going to?
Could we just laugh at them?
I mean, it's the Giants. I thought from what I saw, Daniel Jones actually did all right.
He ran in, didn't he?
I think with the Giants, you've got to view it in isolation. That they seem to be losing players all over the place. A few players go out with injury. I thought Jones played all right, but that team is horrible. Like I'm sorry, Tom, but well, you'd probably say the same thing if you were here. But like, I'm not seeing any hope for them at all right now. That was probably the first winnable game, and maybe their only winnable game for a while, and they couldn't even pull that one out. So. I don't know. Makes you wonder where they're going, doesn't it? It does make you wonder where they're going.
I think Tom put the schedule in the chat, didn't he? He said they are facing the Eagles in week 11. And he says that's literally going to be our next winnable game. Not with the Eagles, the way they're playing. They're going to go 0-17.
Yeah.
The Giants. Who's going to have a worse record? Giants or Jets?
Or Jags. It's one of those three, isn't it? New York hasn't seen a win. Either end. Tough season ahead, I think, for the Giants and the Jets and the Jags.
It was good to see Saquon again. Like, Saquon did get his rushing touchdown, and I think Daniel Jones also got a rushing touchdown. I don't know whether was it a defensive one. I can't even see. It's not even telling me.
I'm not sure.
I know it was just field goals.
Yeah.
And then a 2-pointer. So they only got one touchdown. That was the Saquon rushing.
How Jason Garrett still has a job is beyond me. They aren't great players on that offense, but they ain't that bad either. Like they should be nowhere near as bad as they are. It's criminal, to be honest with you, with some of the players that they've got that are that bad. So, with someone like Saquon, even if you don't rate Daniel Jones that highly, and there's a lot of us that don't, I can hear Mark in my ear already, even though we're not on the same podcast. Like, even if you don't rate him that highly, you should be able to get something out of him. He's not the worst quarterback in the league. I mean, he's probably in the bottom tier, but he's not like, he's certainly not the worst one. And as for the Jets,
who is the worst one, JP?
That's a tough question. I know what you think my answer's going to be, but I wouldn't even say he's the worst now because of the situation that he's in. Winston, he's at a good team with a good coach, and he looks kind of what he is. I'm not going to go into the comparison that Mark came up with, but you can see that one on social media if you want. I think, the Giants are just in a bad way. The Jets are in a worse way. I don't think I've seen a team that bad. But you have to take the Jets in kind of, again, you have to sort of look at it with a bit more of a longer lens. It's basically an expansion team. That they are, the talent on the roster is expansion team level. They're 2-3 years away from being anything right now. So, sorry, New York. Sucks to be you, I guess.
You got Buffalo at least.
Well, yeah, they are.
They look
very good this week. They look very good. What that Washington defense did not, but I don't know if that was because of who they were playing. But
Josh Allen, 4 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown.
Look back to his best. He hasn't been great so far this year, but I thought he played really well, which is worrying for the rest of the league because they're a threat.
I just love Elusive Poet's already come on. The Giants are poorly constructed with an average-ish QB and zero cohesiveness. Their only hope is to be bad enough to fire everyone.
I wish Tom was here for that.
He would love it. He would be like, yeah, agree.
It starts semi-positively, and you said, is Elusive Poet a she? I think I might have missed that last week.
They claimed they were a she last week.
Right. Okay. Well, maybe they're elusive. I don't know, but it starts off quite well. I mean, poorly constructed isn't good, but an average QB. A lot of teams have average QBs. There aren't 32 good quarterbacks in the league, so I think if you have an average QB, you've still got a chance. But that ending sentence is quite damning. Let's be honest. If they are as bad as we're saying they are, everyone will get fired at the end of the season because they're not going to appoint a new GM over the head coach's head. So if the GM goes, the coach is going, and probably the quarterback is going as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think that's enough on the Giants. We get usually a lot more because of Happy Pants, who's not here. But I think we'll go straight into the 49ers, JP. And it was a late one. I'll let you tell the story, mate.
Well, I mean, it's you know what? I'm trying to get better at being less rage-filled as a sports fan because it isn't doing my health any good, and I'm fat enough, so my blood pressure's in a bad shape already. I have to try not to let sports get to me. So I've tried to take a balanced view of this performance. I'm gutted that we lost, especially the way we lost. It goes to show you can't leave Rodgers any time at all. With the game on the line, you can't give him any time. But how the hell you leave Devontae Adams open twice in 2 plays? No matter what defense you're running, I don't know. But let's look at the positives. I feel like Mike Bassett now, but yeah, let's look at the positives. I mean, that first half was about as bad as I've seen the 49ers play in probably 3 or 4 years. They were absolutely atrocious. Defense was okay, but quite bad. Offense was nowhere. Garoppolo was terrible. How the hell we went in? I think it was 17-7 at halftime. How the hell that flattered us? They should have had us. We should have had us going away to get it as close as we did at that stage. Was sorry, I'm still a little bit ill, I think. But yeah, I mean, ran out of corners as well as Bones has pointed out in the chat. We basically had 3 corners left by the end of last night's game. One of them was Dante Johnson, so that barely counts. But I mean, to be in the position that we were in and still get it to the stage where you lose on the last play of the game, that to me bodes well for the rest of the season because it shows a team that's resilient and capable of kind of overcoming adversity. But the problem is they're creating a lot of adversity for themselves. The nice thing to see last night was Trey Lance. Thought he was excellent in the red zone. I wish he was the starting quarterback because Garoppolo is. Sorry, I just realised we're on live, so I can't say what I was about to say. But he's.
Please do.
I mean, look, the guy can play in the NFL. He's not. Again, he's not the worst quarterback in the league. He can play in the NFL, but there's so many flaws to his game that we have to kind of account for and work around. And while he can go on hot streaks, and he was pretty good in the second half, we ain't going to win anything with him. We got the Seahawks coming up this week. I almost think it's time to press the button and just say, let's go with Trey Lance. Let's see what we've got. But then again, we're 2-1, so the thought process is probably, well, we can still get in the playoffs with Jimmy G. We probably can, but I don't know. I'm really conflicted because I'm disappointed we lost. I'm disappointed with large parts of the performance, but then I also look at it and go, actually, to get as close as we did, we played really well. So I don't really know what to make of it. But I'm not as annoyed as I usually am after a 49ers defeat, even if it was at 4:30 in the morning. So I don't know. Could be a lot worse. We'll have to see how the next couple of weeks go. Have me back on next week when we lose to the Seahawks, and you'll have to bleep me for the entire program probably.
It's going to be an interesting overtime preview show coming this Thursday live at 7:30.
Yeah, it's good. Should be good. Well, live at 7:30, we'll see. I don't
know. Obviously, yourself and Jordan are obviously in the same division, facing each other. It'll be our first matchup over both podcasts, won't it?
No, we had 49ers Lions in week 1.
But we don't count the Lions.
Myself and Bones, but even Bones had given that one up, even though I said they'd play as close, and they did. I'm more positive about Bones' team than Bones is. It's a strange position for me to be in. Me and the rest of the analytics losers will be on Thursday. If Tom wants a war, he's got one. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I'll give it you.
We've just traded Tom and we brought you in. So this was all a ploy. Say Tom couldn't make it. We traded him and we've pulled you into the first team, mate.
I'm just amazed I passed the physical, to be honest with you.
I watched the start of your game. And I did fall asleep because our game was still going on when your game kicked off, pretty much, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were going to suffer quite a heavy defeat early on. I'll be honest, but to wake up and see the score and then watch the end of it on my phone because I saw your messages, I thought, I'll give that a little watch. Yeah, I'd be disappointed as well to have got that close. And, well, you know what I'm like when I stay up till 4:30 and we lose a game. I often leave the group. But so we move on to the other team that lost this weekend.
Hello, every other team besides the Raiders on the podcast. Yeah, this was the one game I was most afraid of. I said that coming into this game. I said if we won this game, we're probably going to go 17-0 with the season. Unfortunately, probably we're not going to do it. Well, obviously, we can't do that now because we lost, but it was a very good game. It was back and forth. The only issue was, obviously, Jamal Dean got injured quite early on. We've already depleted within the secondary. Sean Murphy-Bunting, Carlton Davis, they're all out. Apparently, the only positives to that was earlier in the week. Apparently, Ali Marpet has restructured his contract, and there is rumours that we are going to be looking at getting Richard Sherman in. So, getting him in the secondary, can't really complain. Another Brady comer. I don't even know what the word I'm looking for. An elusive. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. An allurer. There we go. Another luring by Tom Brady. So, but I mean, Bones is absolutely going to love the words that come out my mouth. But Stafford looked great. I mean, like literally, the Rams just didn't look like they could be stopped. I mean, they didn't last season anyway. They beat us with Jared Goff last year. So, is it Stafford? No one knows. But they beat us last year anyway, so it's not Stafford. He did throw 4 touchdowns, pretty impressive. But Tom Brady threw 432 yards with only 1 touchdown passing, 1 touchdown rushing. Obviously Brady himself, and then Chris Godwin ran in as well. But it's just one of those. It was a tough game. Like we couldn't stop them. Stafford didn't win an MVP.
I mean, it's one of them though. It's like, listen, I'm one of the biggest critics of the whole Stafford MVP train, largely because Bones mentions it every week. But like, the guy's playing well. You can't deny him. I do think there's a little bit of overrated of the Rams going on, but I can't argue with that result yesterday. They played superbly. The issue for the Rams has always been later in the season, in the games that really decide the division or playoff games and things like that. So I don't know. I'm still a bit ambivalent on the Rams yet. They are a good side, definitely, but it's going to be interesting when they start playing divisional opponents because that has been where they've struggled. That's where you're going to see how much more Stafford gives them over Goff potentially. That's the query at the moment.
Looking last season at this point in time when the Buccaneers and Rams faced in November, 24th of November to be precise. Buccaneers went 7-4, Rams 7-3. So we went in looking similar records at the time. Jared Goff threw 376 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We lost the game 27-24. So again, the Rams still beat us. Jared Goff threw more than what Stafford did. He was just more clinical and got 4 touchdowns. He didn't throw those picks.
McVay is a big part of what the Rams do. I think it's a bit disingenuous to suggest that Stafford has suddenly made them an incredible offense. They were a pretty good offense before that. We've seen what Goff's like without McVay. I mean, I don't think there's much else to say other than that. But they're an interesting team. But I think it's still early in the season, and a lot of people are kind of making determinations on who's going to win what and where we're going to get. And ultimately, there's a long way to go yet. Most teams haven't played into divisional games, which is where a lot of the stuff gets decided. I think when you look at the NFC West, that's where that's going to be decided. Those games between Rams, 49ers, Seahawks coming up this week. Although I don't know how good the Seahawks are, they're a bit of an interesting question mark at the minute. There's going to be a lot of there's a lot to go through yet, but you can't argue with what they've done so far. Beating the Bucs is a massive thing. Beating the Bucs is a huge win. Everybody's trying to beat you. So
yeah, they did it last year. We lost to him last year. It's not like it's a massive thing. It's a massive shock. This is the one I was scared of the most. And if we go on and win every other game, which again we went through with the season. I think our last loss was against the Chiefs. The week after, we had back-to-back losses. That was the last time we lost a game. We don't face the Chiefs this year in the regular season. I mean, I wish we did, looking at the way they are at the moment. But, But, yeah. So, I mean, we lost. Rob Gronkowski took a massive hit. I don't know if you saw that gore by Rhino. Proper took a massive hit.
That was porn to me, that.
And then Bernard took a big hit in the 4th as well, and he seemed to hobble off a little bit as well. He's been a pretty good third down back, but yeah, things looking up. Like I said, last year we started 0-1. We lost to the Saints, and then it took a while for us to get into our groove. And then, like I said, we went on to win the Super Bowl. Do I think we're going to win the Super Bowl again this year? Probably not. I think we'd reach the playoffs, maybe the championship game, but it would be funny to see. Because the Super Bowl is in SoFi Stadium this year, home of the Rams. The Buccaneers become the first ever team to win it in their home, and Rams are just going to do it straight after.
It is a potential. I don't know what the word is, but the Rams Chargers Super Bowl.
Could you imagine? And still have more Raiders fans there.
There'd be more Raiders fans. We're playing. That moves us. Well, I'll go on to who the Raiders are playing later on, but there'll be more Raiders fans in the stadium.
Yeah, the biggest neutral fan base at a Super Bowl of all time. Fucking 15,000 Chargers fans, 15,000 Rams fans, and 60,000 bloody neutrals.
Yeah. They won't be neutral, so it'll be Raiders fans supporting the Rams, I imagine. If that happened, would it be good? No, because I don't like the Chargers.
But the Chargers looked very, very good against
Chargers. Yeah, they do look good.
You'd rather Chargers win than Chiefs, so surely.
No.
I'd
rather neither of them won.
I'd rather a draw.
That brings me nicely on to what Bones has just said there. The Chiefs are bottom of the AFC West. What a time to be alive. Stop the count. Let's call it a day. I'm not really arsed that we're 3-0. I'm more arsed that the Chiefs are bottom of the division. The Chargers, a lot of people, including myself, have said the Chargers are going to be good this year. It was, Herbert looked really good last year, and he's got some great pieces on his offense. they're solid defensively as well. It's disappointing that it seems to be that the Chiefs are wavering, and now the Chargers are looking really, really good. And then obviously the Broncos are 3-0, but I think it's a bit of a false 3-0 if I'm being honest. The teams they've played haven't won a game between them yet. The teams they've played are 0-9, so can it be as impressive as the Raiders 3-0, who are the first team in NFL history to win their first 3 games against teams that won more than 10 games or more last season. So there's another record ticked off. I'm happy. Of course, I'm happy. The game went to overtime. It shouldn't have done. John Gruden is a conservative little wanker. But the team is playing well. Derek Carr is still playing really well, despite throwing an interception. JP and I were just talking about that off air. I'm happy for the win, obviously. Should it have gone to overtime? No. 25-14 up in the fourth quarter, I think it was. It might have been 25-17. And I think they were 4th and 20, and they made it, which is ridiculous.
I'm just waiting for Bones in the chat now.
But we played quite well. We were 14-0 down due to a pick six, and then a very easy touchdown for them. But then to pull it back and then score 25 unanswered points was great. Again, no Josh Jacobs, so we had to rely on.
The
Kenyon
former
Drake,
Bucs man.
Well, I was going to say Kenyon Drake didn't really do a lot from a running back's perspective, but he caught a few passes. If you look at I'll get it up. I'm just off my phone a minute ago. If you look at who Carr spread the ball out to in terms of passing, so there is 6 receivers, all with 3 or more receptions.
Over 30 yards each as well.
Yeah. So he's not just relying. In fact, Waller was 54 yards, 5 receptions, which is not poor for Waller. It's low for Waller, based on last year because we relied on him every single week. But you got Brian Edwards 89 yards, Henry Ruggs 78 yards, Hunter Renfrow 77 yards. So it's kind of.
Just quickly talk about Renfrow because I drafted him into the fantasy football this weekend, so that's tactical right there. Because I kept getting told off that I had too many tight ends, so I got rid of the tight end and brought in Hunter Renfrow on the waivers. He got a touchdown for me, so thanks.
Mark put in the UK Raiders WhatsApp group chat that I'm in that he wants to have Hunter Renfrow's babies. So I'm sure with modern technology, he probably can at some point. But yeah, it was another win, 3-0. I'm happy. I'm really happy, but. Well, there are negatives, but yeah, our O-line is suspect if I'm being honest. Mark put in the Raiders chat before the PFF grades for the O-line, and I think it's for the run blocking, they're all in the 30s, which is really low. But yeah, Leatherwoods is the worst as well, which probably pleases Mark no end. But yeah, 3-0, tough game coming up on Monday Night Football next week. It's away,
another
but
late
home.
Night. Woo!
I know. I can't wait to be pissed off in work on Tuesday. But I'm not sure if Gaz knows who's on this chat because he's asking Bones a question, but Bones isn't on it.
just having a chat in the actual side. But I mean, quickly want to say because I'm sure you are aware of it, Matt. But when was the last time the Raiders went 3-0?
2002.
And what happened that year?
John Gruden won the Super Bowl
for the Bucs against the Raiders.
You
just take that bit out. But...
yeah, well, you can make stats look like whatever you want, as we all know.
Exactly.
Who are you to say, Matt? Who are you to say?
Absolutely.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's an interesting one. Listen, I've had my quarrels with Raiders fans, as anybody in the group chat will know. I have to throw my hands up on this one. Carr's playing really well. Better than I thought he could play, to be honest with you. Some of his throws are ridiculous. The one in overtime yesterday that ultimately gave you the win was massive. that AFC West is shaping up quite interestingly because the Broncos are basically beating what's in front of them. The Chargers look a much better team, and they've got a divisional win now, which is a huge thing. And the Chiefs are, well, I'm just going to say it's hard to make the playoffs when you're 1-2. Statistically, it's very, very hard to do that. I think they will do it, but they've given themselves a bit of an uphill climb. And you guys are winning games, and that's all that matters, really. You're right. There are some things there that statistically you're kind of outperforming your statistics a little bit, which is why some people don't like stats because it doesn't always translate to results. But, I think what you're doing is pretty impressive. You've got a big game coming up this week, obviously, Monday Night Football. So I think that will tell us where some of those teams are going. It's a huge game. Don't get this twisted. It's a big game for the Chargers too, because if they can come up with a win, that kind of validates them as a contender. Whereas if they get beat, I don't know. They're kind of back in the mix again, aren't they? So it's a big game. It's a shame I'm working on the Tuesday. I quite like to watch that, but
well, I'm gonna watch it. So just open the group chat Tuesday morning.
Matt Stav has left.
Yeah, you'll know. It's hard not to get carried away when everything's going right, and we beat 3 good teams. The Dolphins aren't the same as they were last year. I know that, but Steelers are still solid. Ravens look good. Interesting.
We will be talking about the next week's games in a few moments, Bones. Don't you worry about that homecoming game. But before we do move on to next week, I just want to get you guys to talk about your moment of the weekend and your standout performance. I mean, we have to talk about the standout performance of the Chicago Bears. For me, the whole defense.
Is it the Chicago Bears got less yards than that field goal for the Ravens?
So basically, Justin Fields threw for about 67 yards and got sacked 68 yards or something like that. 9 sacks on Justin Fields. It's the Browns defense. Sorry, I apologize. The Browns defense on Justin Fields, because the Browns are great, aren't they? Myles Garrett was absolutely smashing him. But yeah,
it's a shame.
Standout performance there.
Don't know any Browns fans.
I'm sure the Barts were gons.
I think get in the sea. So I mean, I think Steelers lost, didn't they? Did they lose? I can't remember. I saw that.
Steelers were terrible.
The standout performance for me was Big Ben falling over his own feet when not pressured by anybody, and not particularly moving particularly fast either. But yeah, Steelers,
they got annihilated by Bengals 24-10. I say annihilated, but they just looked very, very poor. Big Ben threw 2 interceptions.
Oh, they were shit. They were terrible. Roethlisberger needs to retire at this point. It's sad watching him. Honestly, he was such a good player when I was first getting into the NFL. He's so. I mean, it's age, isn't it? But he's so far away from that now. It's ridiculous. They're not a good football team. The Steelers. There's no real balance there. The defense is pretty good, but I don't know. Because the Steelers have a habit of holding on to the head coaches, Mike Tomlin gets away with an awful lot of average play, and it looks like it's going to happen again this year because they are not good. They are not good at all. For more hot takes, watch Overtime on Thursday. I'm not actually going to tell anybody else that we're going to do the show. I'm just going to turn up and talk for 2 hours. But yeah, they were really bad. I thought Chris has just put in the chat about Herbert. I thought he was excellent. Stafford, you have to say Stafford. Rodgers was good, as much as it pains me to say it. I think we can safely write off week 1 as a blip. He looks pretty much back to his best at this stage. I'm trying to think of somebody a little bit more sort of out of the ordinary, but I think what we're seeing at the moment is most of the big stars are doing what they should be doing. Teddy Bridgewater, I'll throw that name in there. Perhaps not statistically amazing, but he's leading that Denver team quite nicely. I know they've beaten 3 bad teams, but these are games they weren't winning a year ago, so I think that's a big thing. Rams O-line. I'm going to talk about the Rams O-line on Thursday. They were absolutely brilliant. For all the stuff that everybody's kind of saying about Stafford and what have you, to neutralise that Bucs pass rush for 4 quarters is pretty impressive. I don't care who you are. that helps any quarterback. You could stick any quarterback behind that line; they would have a decent game if they were under that little pressure all the way through. So, and yeah, Bones is right about the officiating. It was a bad week to be an NFL official. The clock running out in the Lions game that somehow didn't get called. There was one or two others. The 49ers Packers game was probably one of the worst officiated games I've ever seen, and I'm not even saying that from a biased point of view. We got away. Jimmy Ward got away with killing Devontae Adams. Well, if he had, we would have won the game. But Jimmy Ward got away with killing Devontae Adams with about a minute to go. But also, like, a series of horrible calls, just a really, really bad. Stevie Wonder's changed his name and he goes by the name of Jerome Boger, I think. It was an awful, awful refereeing performance. But, hey, it looks like it was the same across the league. So, there you go. There's the start. Oh, one other thing. Jamal Agnew. What about that?
I was about to say, there's two people, Justin Tucker and Agnew. We haven't talked about.
That was insane. It's almost
Matt
getting to the point where, like, if I'm a team, unless you've got a Tucker or someone like that, I'm not attempting a long field goal because the amount of times you see these long returns, I know people think they're quite few and far between, but like they happen quite frequently because you're not set up to defend against it. You know, once a guy, especially somebody like Agnew, who's a brilliant returner, that was a hell of a play. It was about the only good thing the Jaguars did in the whole game, but they need something to hang on to, don't they?
Absolutely crazy. What was it like? He went for, was it a 68-yard field goal? He went for,
yeah,
and then obviously it got returned for a 109-yard return with 2 seconds on the clock.
Yeah,
just to end the half. Like, you just don't risk it. You were winning the game. And
can't see the benefit if I'm being totally honest.
They did win the game at the end, obviously. It's the Jags. I mean, you would if it was a team, it's the Jags or the Jets, you're going to take that kind of risk on because you know you're going to beat them in the second half anyway. But yeah, there was that. And of course, Bones, the new NFL record for longest field goal to win the game, Justin Tucker. I mean, talk about stones. Just to do that, and it was a beautiful kick as well, just right off the crossbar and just rolls in.
I think off the crossbar might be the worst bit about it, though, because if you're a Lions fan, you got that brief moment where you're like, you missed it off. No. One of them sort of scenarios where it's just like, you know, and I know exactly how it must have felt. It's a hell of a kick, but God, how depressing.
The other person who might have made a 68-yarder was probably the only kicker that's ever been picked in the first round.
Janikowski.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's what I was actually going to mention that. When Lane Kiffin was coaching the Raiders, he had Janikowski attempt a 74-yard field goal. I think it was the game before he got fired. If any long-tenured Raiders fans are out there that can remember that, I certainly can. I remember Al Davis's 2-hour press conference where he had an overhead projector. It was like being back at school. It was absolutely brilliant. One of the most surreal press conferences in NFL history. He just keeps putting these letters underneath this overhead projector. It was just insane. Absolutely insane. The Raiders are an entertaining organisation, man. I hope they never go away.
The one thing I would have mentioned was the field goal that gave the Ravens the game, so we've already mentioned that. In terms of a standout performance, I'm going to go slightly biased and go Peyton Barber, our running back. He was getting a bit of stick last week, but he made 111 yards, I think it was, 100-something yards, for running back number 3 to come in and do that was decent, to be honest.
That's a good shout. I was shocked. I saw him keep making. Every time I looked round at Red Zone, he seemed to be making big plays. Not seen him play well for probably 2-3 years, so it was a bit of a shock. But no, fair play to him. It was a really good performance.
We've got Jacobs to go back into that as well, so it's quite an exciting offense for us. But yeah, I'll go biased this week and give it to him. There we go.
You're free, you can do what you want now.
Just for this week. Back to normal ways next week, I'm sure.
So there are some interesting games next week. I mean, can't wait to see the Daniel Jones versus Jameis Winston clash. I can't wait for that next week when Jameis Winston absolutely annihilates that game.
Oh my God. I didn't even know that was a thing. I hope they cancel all air traffic above the stadium. Jeez.
You've also got Rams, Cardinals, like you said, 49ers, Seahawks.
Both teams are 3-0, aren't they, Rams and Cardinals?
That'll be a good game, I think.
Yeah.
Chargers, Raiders, and of course the Sunday night game. It is at Foxborough, and it will be Tom Brady's homecoming against the New England Patriots. And if he wins, he will have beaten every team in the NFL. If he wins, I mean, after last performance, who knows? But there you go. But yeah, it's an interesting week to come up. How are you feeling about? I mean, you kind of already alluded to it before, but the Chargers, Raiders, optimistic? No.
I'd love to be optimistic, but I think you both know me well enough to know that I'm not an optimist. So I think if would I have taken 3-1 after 4 games? 100%. Will I be pissed off if we lose next week? 100%. So yeah, I don't know. Chargers look good. We look good. Should be a good game. It's our second home in Los Angeles, so we'll have more fans there than they will. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. It's one of them that I wouldn't be surprised if either team won. Trying to take my biased hat off. You know, if we won, we're 3-0. You know, we've looked fairly good. If they win, they look good. So I don't know. Tough one. I really don't know.
It's an interesting one because it's two teams that are very capable of beating themselves. The Chargers did the best to do that yesterday, and so did you as well. So I'm struggling to choose a winner in that one. You know, I think it'll be a cracking game. I don't know who's going to win it, but yeah, it'll be a good one. I fancy the Raiders, though. I have to say, maybe I'm trying to jinx him. I don't know, but
I hope not.
I think I fancy the Raiders for that one. I think you'll be up for it, especially being that you are in LA, even though you are a road team. Like you're going to have vocal support. I think you'll go big for that.
Yeah, and I know you probably are going to save a lot for it for Thursday, so we won't talk much about it because we all want to see you and Jordan go head to head. But how do you feel about the 49ers and the Hawks?
It's always a good game. Like, no matter what state both teams are in, we always seem to produce a good game. We were terrible a couple of years ago. We ended up beating them in Seattle for the first time in years. They've beaten us when they've not been at their best. They're not at their best right now. I don't think we are either. I hate the fact that these words are about to come out of my mouth, but I actually favour the Seahawks, and I'll tell you why without going into too much detail because I'll save a little bit for Thursday. But one thing that I noticed last night was, well, number one, we're running out of cornerbacks. Like, we have so many injuries at corner, it's ridiculous. They're on the verge of asking me to play out there. It's getting a bit ridiculous. But also, Rodgers last night was spreading out to 4 or 5 wide a hell of a lot and basically challenging us down the field, and we didn't hold up to it. Russell Wilson is very capable of doing that. And Russell Wilson is also another... I think Waddy can do that. He's got the weapons to do that. The thought of Lockett and Metcalf against our corners right now is quite frightening to me if they can get the play calls right. But the other side of it is Russell Wilson being a scrambling quarterback. We do not do well against scrambling quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts gave us a problem last week. You know, I think they're going to be an issue for us. I'm not saying we can't win it, but I think they're going to be an issue. It's going to be the usual 49ers Seahawks clash. It's going to go down to the last 2 minutes, and one big play is going to decide it. Now, the last few have probably gone in our favour, so they're probably due one. But I think it'll be a cracker, to be honest. I'm looking forward to it in that way that I'm excited to watch it, but I'm also like trepidatious because I'm sort of thinking, yeah, I think the Seahawks can do us, and I know if they do, overtime will be a fucking nightmare the week after. So we'll see. I don't know. We need to sort corner out. If we get some of the corners back, maybe we can do it. But I just hope we're up for it from the start. We've started slow in every game, so we're not going to be able to get away with that against Seattle. So we need to.
If the Seahawks do win, just don't turn up like Tom hasn't this week. We'll send Tom in as your replacement.
Right after the Jameis Winston embarrassment. But I don't know if you saw the Seahawks game, JP, but Tyler Lockett did kind of tweak his knee.
Right.
There is rumours that he might be injured for that game. If that is, that's huge.
He
has said that it's not serious and he might be back, but you never know really until the extent of it after training. But he tweaked his knee and went off injured. DK doesn't look like his usual self at the minute. I think he did have an okay game this weekend, so who knows? But with Jimmy G at quarterback, anything can happen. Either or.
Well, that's the thing. We're either going to get like the version that could potentially be a top 10 QB, because there is that in him. He has got that skill set, but he's also got the skill set where he does things like last night, where he threw a backwards pass under absolutely no pressure into it 6 yards behind his own head. The guy is just, I can't say the word I was going to say, because I know somebody would complain, even though it actually appears in my medical diagnosis, but it starts with an S. And it ends in plastic. Anyway, we'll leave it at that. But the man is just—he's a strange football player. He always looks to me on the verge of being a top player, and then he's got a bit of Jameis Winston about him. I will say that, in the sense that I can see he's got a lot of physical talent, and sometimes he'll play the odd game, and you'll go, wow, this guy can actually play. You know, maybe we are rushing getting Lance in the lineup, and then he'll make like 2 or 3 plays a game where you just go, what on earth are you seeing? What are you doing? Like, he got away with a couple last night as well. You know, even notwithstanding the bizarre fumble that he had, there was 2 or 3 others that, well, the interception was a terrible throw as well, but like there was a couple of others that he got away with. And there's going to be one game where they all stick for the defense, and that'll be the end of him, I think. You know, he has like 6 turnovers against the fucking Falcons or something. Because we always have like one game a year where we lose to a terrible team. Who have we got on the schedule? I'm just having a look. Yeah, we have actually got the Falcons this year. We haven't got the Giants, otherwise I would have said them. But we've got the Bears. We've got the Bears. Let's say the Bears. We'll probably lose to the Bears. Jimmy Garoppolo throws 7 interceptions in Chicago.
It'll be Justin Fields' big game, that, won't it?
Yeah, you can see it coming an absolute mile off. We do it at least once a year against a team that we should be absolutely paced into the wall. And if I was going to pick, I would say it'd probably be the Bears this year. So I don't know. Anyway, I've got myself in trouble now. So sorry lads, overtime's cancelled.
Just in regards to the Buccaneers, like I said, we are playing Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Looking on paper, it should be an easy win. I mean,
I think it will
looking at what they've done in the past, Mac Jones has thrown 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions so far. They literally I think they're 1-2. They got beat by the Dolphins by a point.
Yeah, they are.
They beat the Jets. Anyone can beat the Jets. And obviously they lost this weekend to Jameis Winston. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
He threw about 4 yards, didn't he?
About 120, all right. There were 2 touchdowns. What would you rather have? Somebody throw for 240 yards and not get a touchdown and lose the game, or someone who throws 120 yards, gets 2 touchdowns and wins the game? I'd have Jameis Winston over Daniel Jones any day.
I think I saw a description. I was reading some football analysis at the weekend, and it was something like, it's like choosing which testicle you want nailed to a plank of wood. So I think I'll stick with that comparison for that one.
Yeah, I think I'd rather not have a quarterback if I had to pick between those 2.
Yeah, I'll just play Wildcat.
We'll go with that one. Yeah, we'll go with that one.
I like Broncos. But I just saw this question in the chat.
Yeah.
As it's a nice segue talking about football. But as guys from the UK, where you have rugby and association football, what do you think of the role of kickers and punters in the NFL?
They've got the easiest job in the NFL.
Well, when you've got a guy looking like Blankenship, anyone can make it, right?
When basically you've got Gary kicking for you.
Hey, I love you know, Gary's an all-star punter for the SFSU Sandbaggers. I'll leave it out.
I thought it was just some of that sounded like that.
I always think not with punters necessarily, but with kickers. If you're going to make a comparison, it's probably like goalkeepers in football. You don't know you need a good one until you've got a bad one. You only need to look at some of the teams that have been cost playoff games by bad kickers for that.
What's that? Matt Gay was awful for us, and now he's doing bits for LA against
that's
us.
the bit you can't work out as well. Like, some will just go off a cliff with no explanation, and then they'll go somewhere else and be absolutely fine. It's a bizarre, like, what does surprise me, and it's not quite the question you asked, but what does surprise me is why some rugby players don't try and get into the NFL as kickers. You think of some people that can kick from distance. The amount of money you get paid to be a kicker in the NFL, if you're a good one, will vastly outstrip any money you'll make in rugby. Or, well, maybe not in football, but certainly in rugby it will. Well, rugby league certainly will.
Said it for years. Even union, even if you're playing at top level international, you're not getting paid anywhere near what an NFL kicker's getting paid.
No, exactly. Even the veteran minimum is like 870 grand a year, I think, something like that. So I mean, it's way more than you're ever going to get. Bones is right as well. There's a lot of Aussie rules players. We've got a former Aussie rules guy as a punter. That seems to be the more common switch over now. But it does surprise me because it's a very specialised skill set. But the rugby players are probably used to kicking from angles as well, which is something that you don't get in the NFL. 9 times out of 10, you're kicking straight on. So no, it's a position. You need a good one. You need a good one.
There's not really been any. I'm going to say soccer now. There's not really a lot of soccer players that have made the transition. I know Harry Kane is a massive American football fan, and he wants to go over. He said he wants to go over and do it. I mean, he's not doing anything in the Prem now anyway, so I mean, he could go over.
Yeah, based on his shooting yesterday, I'd get over there quick. He looked like he was spotted.
He might have even made that 66-yard field goal. No, Edison would be a really good kicker. I mean, you look at some of his distribution sometimes. Edison, get some Brazilian kickers over there. They could just, like him and Allison, just absolutely just fly the ball over.
It's funny, until recent years, an elusive poet mentions it in the chat where like there's programs in the UK and Australia to get people over to the NFL. You're seeing that now with what I think they call the International Player Development Pathway or something like that. I forget the exact name for it. Until recent years, if you wanted to find a UK player that had ever made it in the NFL, 9 out of 10 of them were probably kickers. I think there was a guy called, I want to say John Smith at the Patriots. That's a beer as well.
Standard British name, John Smith.
John Smith. I'm sure it's something like that. Anyway,
isn't Neil Reynolds' son in the UK program?
I don't know. Could well be. I didn't actually know.
I think he is as a quarterback. I'm sure I've seen that on Twitter.
Okay. I think the program in the UK is essentially who's playing for the London Warriors this year, which is perfectly fine because they're the biggest program in this country. They produce the best players. I've not got an issue with that, but yeah, it's interesting because like it is John Smith. Just looked him up. I was a bit confused because I remember seeing the name, but it sounds so generic that you think it can't possibly be right. So I was a bit like, former New England Patriots kicker. But that was always like the UK connection to the NFL. Back in the day when NFL Europe existed, there was I think Martin Johnson might have had a go at being a kicker or somebody along those lines. And I remember seeing David James try out as a kicker as well, briefly. Former England goalkeeper, although
Calamity James.
Yeah, however he was England goalkeeper is more of a mystery, I think. But yeah, he's so I don't know. It's one of those. It's a specialised position, but teams don't really treat it like that, and the ones that don't are the ones that lose out when it matters. I always think.
Yeah.
So but don't draft one in the first round unless it's Janikowski, because that's just stupid.
I mean, we were so excited to go straight into the episode because Raiders were 3-0. We're going to come to it now towards the end of the episode to our new segment, Drink of the Week. Because apparently not everyone can have beer now.
I'll kick off. I'm on an Amstel.
He's on beer.
I'm on Amstel.
Oh man!
I'm in the third, and you probably can't stay. You're third and short glass. Amstel. 4.1%. I could probably have 15 of these and still drive.
We don't recommend that.
Not that the third and short podcast does not endorse that.
I shouldn't really be endorsing drinking anyway.
I have finished mine now, but I was on the Pepsi Max Cherry.
I am not well still, so rather than treat it with any medication, I am currently on this rather large bottle of Lucozade. So
Orange Luco fixes everything.
If anyone would like to speak to me, I'll be in the middle of Oxford Road at 4:35 a.m. screaming that stuff, probably.
Again.
I was gonna say, hopefully, like the most British thing ever. You just going, I'm just having a cup of tea. I haven't had a cup of tea yet on this show.
I think
have we?
Did Mark not have one? When we
Mark
had
had one.
Guest. Yeah.
That's true. I take that back. We've had bottles of wine. We've had glasses of wine. We've had passion fruit vodka. We've had all sorts of things.
I won't even mention the Corona incidents.
No, we don't talk about Corona anymore. They didn't sponsor us, so unfortunately, you are
dead
beep from the show.
Dead to us.
Drink wine responsibly, guys, as well. I feel we should make an announcement.
Wine, guys.
On that
Am I right?
Drink it very responsibly, particularly at weekends when watching world heavyweight boxing fights.
Yeah.
Try to keep a straight face. You're going to have to go to something else because I can't do it for much longer.
Am I right, guys? Wine. Anyway.
Took me a second to get that.
Thank you. It's only me and you know that one as well.
Yeah, sorry. It took me a second there. I'm sorry. I guess I'm twat.
Who's...
Ed Guys. Ed.
Cheers, guys.
Ed Guy GZ.
Yeah, new listener, watcher, whatever it is. Cheers, Ed.
Yeah. So, we are drawing to a close of this week's episode. I mean, I don't know if there's really much more to say. Unfortunately,
we've got tonight's game, haven't we?
We've got 3 now. You do have tonight's game.
We've got the Cowboys versus the who?
Oh, for God's sake, right, say it again. Let's go. Go on, let me load it up. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
Fly, Eagles fly, on our way to victory.
Fly, Eagles. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty sure I'm facing Gary on fantasy football and he's got Dak as quarterback. So come on, Eagles, let's do it.
I beat Gary.
Yeah,
I don't change my team. Hang on.
Quite looking forward to seeing who wins that one.
Of them.
I don't know how good the Eagles are yet. They were pretty good against us, and they were good in week 1. But this is a different test. The Cowboys is similar. I don't know how much I rate them yet, so it'll be interesting to see what the result. I won't see it obviously because I have to work tomorrow, but be interested to see what the result is.
Oh yeah, I'm beating you in the Sandbagger Bruce Woods fan club.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I don't think have I got someone to play in that one. I can't remember if I've got a Cowboy or an Eagle.
You've got Jalen
Hurts. Yeah,
I've got.
So
Dak
come
Prescott.
on, Hurts,
and
you got Dak Prescott. Well, there we go. AB is a nonce. Is going to take the win.
Maybe he's a nonce. Pass it on.
That is his team name in that fantasy football. I mean, I think I lost every single game in fantasy football this week.
Oh,
out of all 6 of my divisions.
Ed's our new fan. Ed has got an alias.
The Truth.
Also known as the Truth.
There you go.
Apparently, Boris Johnson has never seen him.
Unless he was talking about AB.
Third and short going political.
Yeah, we'll try not to do that. I apologize.
No.
I've been brought on to destroy this podcast.
You gotta inject a poison.
There we go.
I got you.
And even in the chair, I could do the spin around if I had NWO written on the back of it.
So I'm just gonna quickly throw that in there for you. There you go.
I wish I got all these wrestling references.
There you go. A little bit for our wrestling fans. There,
Sorry,
a little bit of NWO
podcast. There, we'll be right back.
You can if you do like wrestling, you can listen to Grapplecast, my wrestling podcast. Comes every Friday.
And if you don't like wrestling, you can go to the pub.
And if you don't like wrestling, like the rest of the world. But no, it was an interesting night. You had Extreme Rules, and we also had the 49ers. It was a very extreme night.
Yeah, massively appreciate you coming on, JP, at last minute and covering for the member formerly known as Tom. Not sure.
Yeah, I'll be back next week. When Tom's instead of again.
I hope so. He's been happier this week.
No, I need Tom on next week when Jameis Winston throws 4 touchdowns and Dan Jones fumbles.
I think this might be the only week I'm rooting for Jameis Winston because I want to see that. That would be fucking hilarious.
I'll tell you what, right now, Tom's not here, so I want a verbal confirmation. If Winston, I don't know, should we go for yards or touchdowns? I feel like yards is harder for Winston, but touchdowns are quite easy. But touchdowns are hard for Jones, but yards are easy for him. What should we go for? Either or. Tom's going to get a Jameis Winston jersey, or I'll get a DJ jersey.
Hopefully that. No, I nearly said something that'll probably get me cancelled. Join us next week if we've got a show. Who knows? But usual stuff at Third Short Pod on Twitter. We're very close to 1,000 followers, and we've been going very nearly a year. When's our 1 year on it? Is it next week?
Friday.
Saturday.
Friday.
So Friday. If we can get to 1,000 followers before Friday, we'll probably give someone a shout out like to those idiots last week. Whatever they were called.
One year
Chester's Goons.
to our first episode, which was released on the 1st of October 2020.
Yeah.
And we have got over 200 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you, everybody who's done that. 1,000 followers nearly on Twitter. I mean, we just chat shit. I mean, obviously, we have drafted in overtime to actually do proper analysis, and we are very grateful to them. But yeah, it's been one hell of a ride, and here's to another year. And hopefully the same outcome.
Followers during this broadcast. we were on 971 when I opened the socials before the show. We're now on 967. So there you go. There's the benefit of having me on the show, guys.
I think Tom's just unfollowed us because we've dropped him from the line.
But no, yeah, thank you very much, you guys. And since you are a guest this week, JP, final word.
Oh Jesus, I wasn't prepared. It's not very often.
No one ever is.
Well, let's see.
One word.
Oh, just one word.
Just one word.
All right, I'll go with